The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WCLE or its employees.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Andrew Morgan Show. This is Joshua Radford filling in for Andrew Morgan today. He had to dip out a little bit early and head to court, so here you got me today. So obviously I said morning, but our show, it's going to air early in the afternoon, but we do record in the mornings. But it's a nice, beautiful Monday morning right now. Hopefully the weather stays good up until the afternoon when you're listening to this. And so let's get down to it. As far as topics go, I'm kind of pulling stuff out of my pocket here because it was last minute, so I didn't have time to really prepare or line up a guest for you. Which hopefully, and I know he keeps talking about this, hopefully we have some guests lined up soon. I know my goal is to get a couple principals on here soon, especially with school upcoming, for them to talk about, the upcoming school year, what they have planned for your children, events that are coming up for the fall, expectations for the year, and things like that. Obviously, with us being a local show, we want to keep you guys informed about things that are going on around here in Cleveland. Obviously, our sister station, Mix 104, they do a fantastic job of keeping you guys up to date with things that are going on. Really appreciate them doing that, and also giving us a platform to be able to speak and give you extra information as well. So hopefully we'll have some people up here soon. My hope is to have Erica Shamblin on here soon, getting something set up. She's out at Principal Taylor Elementary, and then also Jeremy Jones, who's the principal out at Valley View. So I need to reach out to both of them and try to get them set up for you guys, for all those parents that have children at those schools. If you have a certain school principal or somebody that you want to hear from, please feel free to comment in the comments section when this is posted to Facebook, and we'll try to get somebody for you guys if you really want to hear from somebody. With that being said, obviously, as far as any local stuff, I don't have anything set up for you today, unfortunately, but we'll go a little bit more national level and look at some sports here real quick. For all you NBA fans out there, had some playoff games and over the weekend, and things are running down here in the NBA now. We're getting close to the finals. The Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals are now set. We actually had a Western Conference first game yesterday afternoon on Father's Day, which was a great one. Shout out to all the fathers out there. We love you guys and appreciate you guys for all that you do. Being a dad myself, being a father is a little bit of a different job than being a mother, but definitely shout out to all the moms out there, that, especially the ones that play the role as mom and dad, because I know there's quite a few out there. But while children all do need mothers, and they're very important, father is just important too. So shout out to all the great dads out there, and hope you guys enjoyed your Father's Day and got some good gifts and spent some time with your children. I know I got to spend some time with my dad yesterday, and as well as my son. I got to spend the whole day with him as well. But we got together and went out to eat at Aubrey's for lunch and had a great lunch there, and then went back to his place to swim in his pool. So, and we hung out there for a little while before going to have dinner with my wife's father. So, but at the pool, we ended up watching the Suns Clippers game, which was the Western Conference Finals game 1. I know it was a tight game through most of it. I thought the Clippers might hold on and win it. They're down Kawhi Leonard right now, and but Suns just had too much for them. Suns end up winning 120-114. Obviously, Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard, which is a big miss. Especially, not only is he a good scorer, but he's an elite defender as well. And when you take him out of that equation, it makes things hard. So, Suns are also without one of their star players, which is Chris Paul. And while I think Chris Paul is a great player, he's a great leader for these young guys on the Suns team, I don't think that him being gone has a massive effect as much as Kawhi Leonard being gone does to the Clippers. So, with that being said, it should be an interesting series. If the Clippers, get Kawhi back, and the Suns, if they get Chris Paul back, it should be a pretty interesting matchup. I'm really satisfied with the matchups that are in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. Honestly, I was getting a little tired of, for quite a few years, you had it's the Warriors show, and they're there every year winning it, besides 2016 when the Cavs won, which was grateful for because I'm a Cavs fan. But, and then, you've had the past couple, you've had the LeBron show in the playoffs, and, he took an early exit this year. So I really like the matchups. You got some guys in there that are, they're not normal teams that are in there. Makes for some intriguing matchups. You have guys in there that, never really been on this stage before. It's kind of just nice to see a change up. It's the same as like with college football. You get tired of seeing Clemson and Alabama in it just about every year. So when you actually get somebody different in there, like you did LSU a few years ago, and yeah, I know we don't necessarily like LSU either, but they are they're better than the alternative of Alabama. So yeah, that'd be I'm really happy with the matchups. Obviously, Suns pulled it out yesterday. Devin Booker, I think, records his first career triple-double. He has he scores 40 points, has 13 rebounds and 11 assists, which is just phenomenal, especially for a Western Conference Finals game. But really, they got production out of everybody in their starting lineup. You got DeAndre Ayton taking 20 points, Jay Crowder 13, Bridges 14, and Cameron Payne 11. And then off the bench, Johnson had 12. So they really got production just about out of everybody that played. So that's good. As far as on the Clippers side, obviously you got Paul George, and he's going to come and do his thing. He had 34 points, which is really, really, really good. And then you have Reggie Jackson at the point for them, who had 24. But really outside of that, I think he had DeMarcus Cousins with 11. But outside of that, nobody else scored in double digits. It was still a close game, but they just didn't have the production like the Suns had to get that done. So shout out to the Suns for a first game 1 win. I think it's going to be an interesting series. I think all the games are going to be pretty close. Just the way the playoffs is going. Obviously, the Suns have done really well in the playoffs, but I've had quite a few game 7s in some series, so I think this should be an interesting and intriguing series for sure. So, other games that we had over the weekend, obviously the Eastern Conference Finals were not set till yesterday, so we haven't had a first game there. But we had two series that had game 7s. First, we had the Bucks and the Nets. Bucks come out and win a close one in overtime, 115-111 over the Nets. I think everybody's odds-on favorite this year to win the title were the Nets because they had, they got James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. They got a mix of some other good players that, maybe used to be considered superstars, such as like Blake Griffin. But Giannis gets it done for once, and he's heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think, in my personal opinion, I know the Nets were the favorite to win it, but in my personal opinion, since, it's today and I'm running the show and can talk about just about whatever, I don't think the Nets will ever win a championship, and here's the reason why. Obviously, you got Kyrie Irving, and even if you go back to the days when he was with the Cavaliers or even with the Celtics. Okay, and yes, he did win a championship with LeBron in 2016, but the dude's injury prone. He's hurt just about all the time. He'll play a slew of games and then he's gone again with injury. He missed this. I'm not 100% sure if he played at all this series. He missed Game 7 though for sure. And just with the injury proneness of him and also the injury proneness of Kevin Durant, and then even James Harden recently, I just don't think these guys will ever all three be healthy at the same time for them to really make a good run at winning a championship, especially through the playoffs. Obviously, they're still competitive. They're still a very good team. Even without one of the superstars, they would still technically have a chance to win a series. But if they were all three healthy, they'd be much more hard to take out. But I just think they're all, especially Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they are both really injury prone, and they just don't have what it takes, I think, in my opinion, to ever win a championship. But I guess we'll see. That could change next year. But happy to see the Bucks finally getting over the hump and getting into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they've been there before, but I think they have a really good shot. They're not my favorite to win. I think they probably do win the series, the Eastern Conference Finals, but I'd like to see the other team actually take it, which is the Hawks. And the Hawks had a game versus the 76ers last night. They take out the 76ers in Game 7. The final score is 103-96. Really happy to see the Hawks in there. They were a team that I think people expected to make the playoffs because they got a good young core, but I don't think anybody was expecting them to go into the Eastern Conference Finals. But they're led by Trae Young. He actually didn't score the most points last night, but obviously he's a major contributor there and the leader of that team. They've got a really good young nucleus, and in the coming years, if they're able to keep these guys together, they become really scary in a sense. So they have Trae Young had 21 points. Kevin Huerter had 27. So both good games from those guys. The big three, or I guess you could call it the big four. No, I give it a big three. For 76ers. You had Tobias Harris, your local Tennessee product here, with 24 points. Joel Embiid had 31. But really a guy underperforming is Ben Simmons. He pulls out with just 5 points. I think Ben Simmons is a good player. Do I think he's elite? Probably not. I think he has moments sometimes. But really I think they need somebody different besides him to really add with Harris and Simmons to really, or Harris and Embiid to really push them over the edge. So we'll see how they play out. They're another one that I think they had, a few years ago when they were all, a bit younger and they were making some waves. I thought, man, here in a few years they're really gonna put it together. They're building a young nucleus and they're gonna be really hard to beat. But unfortunately, they just can't seem to get over the hump and get it done. So we will have Game 2 of Clippers and Suns on June 22nd on Tuesday at 9 p.m., which is also my birthday. Turning the big 3-0 this year, so that'll be fun. And then we'll have Game 1 of Hawks and Bucks on Wednesday the 23rd at 8:30. So I guess if we're going predictions, I'm gonna take the Suns in 7 games versus the Clippers. I think they'll pull it out. I think Kawhi misses a few more, and unfortunately, they're just not able to get it done. Hawks and Bucks. I'm going to go Bucks in 6. I think the Hawks are a good team. I think they're a good young team. I think they're going to have some good teams coming up here in the next few years. I think they'll maybe get into the championship within the next few years as long as they keep that nucleus of young players together. But I think the Bucks have just too much firepower right now with Giannis and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. I think they're kind of coming in on the end of their run of being competitive and winning championships. Keeping a nucleus like that together is very hard. So I'm going to go with the Bucks in 6. So we're going to take a quick break real fast, and we'll be back to talk about something different here in just a few minutes. Thanks.
Bradley County just has always been special. The people are amazing. Being from here, growing up, we really pride ourselves on taking care of our friends and neighbors. And so that's what I love about Cleveland, is just the camaraderie, the fellowship, the friendship. The fact that 95% of the people you see out here would give you the shirt off their back if they knew you or didn't know you. And that's Cleveland, that's Bradley County.
The law offices of Andrew B. Morgan pride themselves in serving the Bradley County community.
All right, welcome back to the Andrew Morgan Show. This is Joshua Radford, your guest host for today. If you missed the first segment of the show, Andrew was unable to record today. He had to run off to court and handle some cases. We did review some of the playoff NBA games over the weekend. I apologize to you non-sports fans that you're getting a full sports show, but it's I didn't have much time to prepare, and it's what I usually know the most about and can pull stuff out of my pocket pretty easily about and yammer on for 30 minutes about. So I do apologize to the non-sports fans out there that tune in to listen to not necessarily Andrew, but this talk radio station in itself, to listen to things such as politics and things like that. Politics are not my forte, so I don't want to talk about things that I don't. Not necessarily say I'm an expert in sports, but don't want to talk about things that I especially don't have an opinion on necessarily, or good knowledge to give you a good opinion about. So we'll save that and leave that for Andrew. He's the one that's more political than I am, obviously, and I'll stay in my lane and stick to sports. So with that being said, obviously the first half we recapped some NBA games that we had over the weekend and gave a little bit of a preview of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. But now I am going to do a little bit of a special. So obviously we have football season coming up. It is fast approaching. Everybody's excited as stadiums will be back at 100% capacity this year. I know that I am. Really looking forward to going to some football games and seeing those and having some atmosphere back into them, because even watching on TV, it's just not the same seeing a game with empty stadiums or very little capacity, pumped in crowd noise. It just wasn't the same. So I'm excited to stadiums get back to 100% capacity. Everybody loves college football, and so let's talk a little college football. Obviously, I am a Virginia Tech fan, and I'm really excited for this season. Do I think we'll be great? Probably not. I don't think we'll be horrible, but have a lot of work to do. But obviously, I know what region I live in and what you guys like, and who you cheer for, and what you want to hear me talk about. I know you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk about Virginia Tech for the next 15 minutes because honestly, none of you care. So we'll leave that one in. I would say I would love to see another Virginia Tech and Tennessee matchup. Tennessee got the best of us last time, and then in 2009 we got the best of Tennessee. But I think that should be a matchup that comes along on a regular basis. They're too close. It's a border war essentially. The teams are separated by a couple hours, and it's just shame that they don't play more often because it could be a rivalry. From what I have experienced as somebody living in in Virginia growing up, and then here as well. Virginia Tech fans don't like Tennessee, and Tennessee don't like Virginia Tech. Obviously we don't play to that much, but with us being so close, I think we each get sick of each other, talking about who's better and whatnot. And especially, with this new proposal that's coming out to expand the playoffs to 12 teams, I think it's a matchup that we should, not saying we will, but we should see more often. The reason being is that with a playoff expanding, it becomes super important for you to have a good strength of schedule, just like you do in college basketball when you have a 64-team field. Obviously, that's a little bit too big for a football playoff to go, but 12 teams is, that's great. So with that being said, strength of schedule is something that's important. Virginia Tech and Tennessee are all, they're historic programs. Obviously, the past decade or so has not gone well for either of them, but hopefully they're both turning that around, and they'd be a good matchup for each other as far as building strength of schedule. It's a quick and easy trip to either stadium. You could always get together again and meet in Bristol like they did last time. Obviously, I went to that game. I don't prefer they do that. I'd rather see home and home matchups, just because while Bristol was a cool experience, it was not. We had pretty decent seats. I didn't feel like we were that far up within the stadium, but you got the football field right there in the middle, and then between you and the football field is a racetrack, obviously. And like I said, it was a great experience. It was a huge moment, I think, in college football history, but I don't think I want to do it again. So with that being said, I think that would be those two teams getting together would be fantastic on a more consistent basis. But let's switch. I know you guys want to talk some Tennessee football, or at least hear about it. Feel free to leave your comments in the section if you dislike or like my takes on things. I'm going to try to give an unbiased basis here to how I think the season will go for Tennessee. I'm going to kind of run through the games and break them down, and just on a quick non-Tennessee fan basis, give what I think they're going to end up with, and we'll see how it goes. So obviously the first game you guys are kicking off on Thursday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. taking on Bowling Green. Obviously not. I know Tennessee lost some guys on defense to the transfer portal, which is awful. I'm assuming we're going to see a new quarterback this year. I think you guys had a couple transfers come in. Somebody, I think, from Michigan, and then obviously you got Hendon Hooker coming in from Virginia Tech. From what I hear, the guy from Michigan is probably going to get the job, but I guess we'll see. But Bowling Green, that should be a pretty easy win for Tennessee, no matter what they got returning or they don't have returning. It's obviously in Neyland. Bowling Green played, I think, they played 5 games last year and lost all 5. So I think they're while they have had some competitive teams in the past, number one, they're not a Power 5 school, so that they already have that going against them. But they didn't do very well last year to even, for a non-Power 5 school to be, some of them can be competitive with the big dogs, but I just don't think Bowling Green's there at the moment. So definitely think Tennessee handles that one pretty easily. And start the season 1-0. So after that, we got Pittsburgh on the schedule, and Pittsburgh is an intriguing matchup. Okay, we'll see how they do this year. Obviously, last year they kind of had a I think a mixed bag of sorts, but with the extra year of eligibility, they have a very important piece coming back on their team. And that's Kenny Pickett. Looks like last year they went 6-5 total. So a winning record, but not what you really want to see for yourself. So, with that being said, though, they got Kenny Pickett coming back. He's a good competitor. He's a good quarterback. Pittsburgh always has a tough defense. However, I think I'll give Tennessee that win, and the reason being is because it's a home game for Tennessee. I think if it was at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh might pull that one out. But I think I'm going to give Tennessee the win because it's a home game. I expect it to be close. I expect it to be a low-scoring defensive game. While Kenny Pickett is a good quarterback, I don't know that they'll have the offensive production that you want. Still, Pittsburgh's not known for being a high-scoring team. Obviously, they're a run and ground and pound team. They're going to keep you from scoring a lot with their good defense, and then they're going to try to beat you on the ground. So I expect a low-scoring game, defensive game. Honestly, I think it would be a fantastic day if this game was in the rain. Have a good defensive battle. Put your lead back up there and go head-to-head. So I think that'll be an interesting matchup. So after that, they got Tennessee Tech, which is clearly it's gonna be a win for Tennessee. At least it should be. I know Tennessee's dropped some ones that they shouldn't have in the past, but Tennessee Tech, obviously, lower level school, shouldn't be able to compete with Tennessee at all. Their record last year was 2-5, so nothing fantastic there. I think Tennessee handles business, and honestly, if they win those three, beating Pitt, BG, and Bowling Green and Tennessee Tech, they might be looking at sneaking in the rankings at that point. They'll be sitting at 3-0 heading into a game with Florida. So we'll see how that goes. So next up, we got Florida, and this is an interesting one. Obviously, I think Trask may be gone. I'm not 100% sure. Let's check that out here so I don't give you incorrect information. Yeah, he's gone. He's playing for the Buccaneers now. So Florida will be in a transition of quarterbacks. Obviously, they've had a couple games to get things going. It's the Tennessee's first away game. Somehow they got 3 in a row at home to start off the season. Florida obviously was a good team last year. They've taken care of Tennessee for it seems like a while now for most years. This one's a tough one to pick. You know what? With the transition at quarterback, it's still being early in the year, I think I'm going to give Tennessee the win on this one. I think they finally get over the hump of Florida and start rolling it at 4-0. If they, in the month of September at 4-0, they get ranked. I know you guys, I know you Tennessee fans out there, you're going to be saying it's, go for the undefeated season and things like that. But don't get too excited yet because you guys got some big games, later on in the year. So after that, and I'm going to try to hurry through these a little bit quicker because we are running out of time. After that, we got Missouri. I think Tennessee does take care of Missouri and starts out 5-0. And then you're going to run into South Carolina. I think Tennessee takes care of business on that one too. South Carolina's got a new coach, and while I think he will turn that team around, it's Shane Beamer, Frank Beamer's son. I think he'll turn that team around. He's a fantastic recruiter. He's got great experience at some other schools such as Georgia and Oklahoma that he's coached for as an assistant in the past, and I think he turns that team around. So I think there. So 6-0 right now, and we're heading into Ole Miss on October 16th. Don't think Ole Miss it's Lane Kiffin's here too. That should be an interesting matchup because I know how you Tennessee fans feel about Lane Kiffin. But I'll go ahead and give Tennessee the win there as well. So we're heading 7-0. And then we run into the freight train that is Alabama. Obviously, Alabama lost some things, but they are Alabama, and they are a plug-and-play system. And while I think Tennessee will hopefully be better this year, got a new coach and things like that, I don't think it's going to be. They're not ready to beat Bama yet. So as of right now, they lose to Bama. We're sitting in at 7-1 at this point, so not bad. Then we got Kentucky. Kentucky, I'll go ahead and give you guys the win for. I'm not going to go too deep into that one because we are running out of time. But then next up we got Georgia. I apologize, but I don't think that's going to be a win for you guys. I think Georgia's got too much talent right now. Same thing with Alabama. I think you guys are rebuilding Tennessee, but you're just not on the level that Alabama and Georgia are at this moment. So I think that's 2 losses. Then we got South Alabama. Definitely think that's a W. I think South Alabama is, they moved up a few years ago to the big boy level, and while I think they got some talent on the team, I don't think they're ready to compete with Tennessee. So, and then lastly we got Vanderbilt. Obviously, we know Vanderbilt was not good last year. I don't think they're going to be good this year, so I'll give that W to Tennessee. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A 10-2 Tennessee team. I think everybody would be happy with that this year. You're really only losing the 2 games that I think everybody expects you to lose, which is Georgia and Alabama. And I think you have a really good shot to compete and go, depending on what Georgia does and who they play, to go and play for an SEC championship. So we'll see what happens. That's my personal opinion of how I think the season will outplay here for Tennessee. And I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Like I said, my name is Joshua Radford. I'm filling in for Andrew Morgan here on the Andrew B. Morgan Show. And I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you again on Friday. Thanks.
Bradley County just has always been special. The people are amazing. Being from here, growing up, we really pride ourselves on taking care of our friends and neighbors. And so that's what I love about Cleveland, is just the camaraderie, the fellowship, the friendship, the fact that 95% of the people you see out here would give you the shirt off their back if they knew you or didn't know you. And that's Cleveland. That's Bradley County.
The law offices of Andrew B. Morgan pride themselves in serving the Bradley County community.